Yeah, this is Sam Black with Burn and Modern on the play. Wish I had a 1-drop, but I think I can keep this hand anyway. I can suspend the Rift Bolt on turn 1, and that's not that bad. And then turn 2 Eidolon on the play is likely very good. So I'll keep this. Given that I only have 2 lands, and I'm going to play a 2-drop, I'm pretty likely to have to play Sacred Foundry untapped anyway, so I'm going to lead with that so that I can get more information before deciding if I'm fetching a mountain or stomping grounds with this Scalding Tarn. So I'll play that, and pay 2 life, and suspend Rift Bolt. If this turns out to be a mirror, I'll wish that I'd just played this tapped. As seems to be the case. So now my options are to either play the Eidolon or the Searing Blaze. I think I'm going to fetch a mountain because I don't think it's worth paying 2 life speculatively here, and I do want to spend 2 mana. I think I like leading with Searing Blaze. I don't think it's worth letting my opponent untap with a creature, where my opponent could just Searing Blaze my Eidolon and get extra damage in. Not to mention the fact that I don't have another land to fetch with, and so Searing Blaze gets turned off after this turn, potentially. Here I'll play Eidolon. I'm ahead on life, and now ahead on board, so it seems like a good time to play it. My opponent had had Searing Blaze, so I'm going to take damage here, but because but I got my 2 damage off of my Eidolon since my opponent had to play the spell for the turn after it resolved, so that wasn't so bad. Trying a Tarka's Command, which I can't cast. I think the play here is just Swift Spear attack. It doesn't use my mana efficiently, but, well, hold on. I don't need to get in any damage with the Swift Spear, because Boros Charm, Skullcrack, Shard Volley is 10, which is my opponent's life total. So I think the Swift Spear is actually just a waste of time, and I should just Boros Charm my opponent. And then if I draw a land, Shard Volley wins. Or if I draw 1 mana burn spell, Shard Volley plus the 1 mana burn spell wins. Of course, there is some fear that I'll just die first, since I'm dead to 2 burn spells, which my opponent probably has. I suppose I could Shard Volley the Goblin Guide if I'm drawing a land, but I don't know how I win from there. So that's a land. So if I Shard Volley the Goblin Guide, my opponent has 4 cards in hand, and I don't have a clock at that point. I think I just have to hope that somehow my opponent can't do 6 with 3 mana and 4 cards, which is basically impossible. I guess I might as well respond to that with a Skullcrack. But I'm going to die to whatever my opponent's playing here. Yep. Alright, so for the mirror, obviously I want Firewalker and Searing Blaze and Lightning Helix. And I don't want Eidolon and a Tarka's Command, I think. almost want to just cut all the Atarka's commands so that I can not bother fetching green. Yeah, my resolution was going to be to cut the Eidolons for Destructive Revelry in case my opponent has Dragon's Claw or Enchantment sideboard card, but then I'm just making myself need green anyway. I'm going to cut the Atarka's commands and play 2 Eidolons. I'm on the play, so they're a little more palatable, and I really don't want to have to fetch green and double white in a matchup where I'm trying to avoid shocking myself. This hand is not very good. Mana heavy. But on the other hand, I'd be pretty happy with 3 lands and 3 spells and a 6, or at least satisfied. I guess I'd want 4 and 2. These spells are above average, but not totally exceptional. I think I'm supposed to mulligan this. That's not good. And I think I have to keep this, even though it's really bad. You can't go to 4. And not even convinced that getting the Swift Spear into play is right here. I'm going to play this tapped, which I don't love, but I just don't feel like I have things to do with my mana since I can't cast these spells, and I don't feel like paying 2 life for 1 damage is a good rate. I think I suspend my own Rift Bolt rather than running Swift Spear into my opponent's Rift Bolt. My opponent might not want to Rift Bolt the Swift Spear, but given that I'm so low on cards and have all these cards I can't cast, I actually do need the Swift Spear to stay alive. So I'm going to Rift Bolt the Lavamancer, I guess. And play this thing. And attack, and then find a Sacred Foundry and hope to draw another one so that I can get this Firewalker going. Great. Of course, I have to decide if it's really worth taking 2 extra damage to play it a turn early, putting me to 7. I think it needs to be, well, if I Helix, I could Helix now while my opponent can't stop the life gain. Go to 13, sack that, go to 12. That actually kind of sounds better. Yeah, I'm just going to fire off the Helix. Now I get another Sacred Foundry. And I can this, and then play the Swift Spear and gain a life. And attack. And now it feels like I actually have something useful going on. I might be able to win this game. Let's see, 3 plus 7. Yeah, I think that playing this doesn't relevantly speed up my clock. Like, getting 1 damage off this with Spear, the Paralysis trigger, doesn't relevantly speed up my clock. So I want to be able to Skull Crack to stop my opponent from gaining life. Maybe I'm supposed to just Boros Charm now. Most life my opponent can gain really is 3. So then my opponent goes to 11, minus 4 from the Boros Charm is 7, and I attack for 7. That sounds like it means I should cast Boros Charm. So waiting there until my end. Basically, I gained 1 life. I gave both of us 1 life by waiting until the end of my turn to play things, making my opponent play the Atarka's Command first rather than getting the extra Swift Spear trigger. And I think, given that I'm the one with the board presence, giving both of us life is good. So I think it worked out well. I guess it's technically best to pass and then play this in my opponent's upkeep if my opponent doesn't do anything. Okay. Don't think anything's changed. My opponent didn't show me any artifacts, and I still don't want to have to fetch green. This hand is bad because this is my worst card, but it is 5 spells and 2 lands, so I think I have to keep it. I could get a mountain and cast Lava Spike here, but I think that I care about getting double white. I don't think Lava Spike does that much. I think it's better to just fetch a tapped land here. So the options here are play Firewalker or play Lightning Helix. If I play Firewalker, I go to 10, and then I don't want to block I think it's actually safest to wait and play the Firewalker later and just helix this while my opponent can't skullcrack me, fetching a mountain, and then I end up at 15. Might be overly conservative, but it feels right based on how the last game played out. So now I can fetch a Sacred Foundry untapped and play Firewalker and Lava Spike and gain a life. So this is going to put me up to 8 and then down to 5, which means 2 bolts won't kill me because that puts me up to 7 and down to 1. So that's good. So I'm going to cast Boros Charm. I'm casting it now because I want to play Eidolon this turn, and I want to not take 2 damage from it. Deflecting Palm. Okay, well, that's not great. So now I go to 3. I don't want to die to Boros Charm, so I have to cast a spell, and I think I want to be able to gain more life in the future, so I'm going to cast Lightning Bolt rather than these Eidolons that damage me, or that stop me from playing more spells without paying life. I think when I have Firewalker advantage, I just need to preserve my life total as much as possible, since every turn is so much better for me than for my opponent. Target's command, so I'm not gaining life. So I guess I should play Eidolon. It'll do 2... Oh no, I'll die if I do that because of the Atarka's command. I won't gain life from the Firewalker, so I have to just pass and hope my opponent doesn't draw a burn spell. And my opponent missed.